it's always difficult to win everywhere, right? At the professional level. But this is not a very strong field. If you look at the top 10, with all the respect for all the other contenders, but in the top 10, there's nobody in there who will be in the top 5 of any other World Tour races.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus, our weekly show. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are talking a little bit of racing, Tour of AlUla, what's going on there, a little bit of Tour Down Under recap, as well as talking about the upcoming Cyclocross World Championships this weekend. Before we get into that, though, Johan, let's take a second to talk about our partners. Everybody, I wanted to introduce today's sponsor, which is Zwift. Zwift just released the Zwift Ride, an all-new smart bike that is changing the indoor game and making it easier and more affordable than ever to get started riding indoors. Let's be honest, none of us were big fans of riding indoors back in the day. Nothing worse than seeing 90 minutes on the trainer from your coach. Nobody wanted that. But Zwift has changed the game, and hopefully the Zwift Ride can continue to upgrade the experience even further. The bike is ultra quiet and super easy to set up. You just need one tool, the frame key, to build it all up and make any adjustments to saddle height, bar height, and reach. Once you've done that, the frame key slots right back into the magnetic holder in the frame, so you never lose it. That's important. And let's be honest, if you're sharing this with people in your house, you got to be able to adjust it, and they're going to lose that key. Yeah, how many times do you go to ride the bike? Hey, where's the multi-tool? Oh, someone misplaced it. Nope, that's not going to happen anymore, because you know exactly where it is, right in the magnetic holder under the frame. And the adjustability, this is key for Johan and I. We have trainers in our house. We share our Zwift experience with other people. So the adjustability makes the Zwift Ride perfect for us, since anyone in the house can use it, set it to whatever size they need it. Easy for us to get it back to where we need it. And you're probably saying, well, this is going to be really expensive. No, it's not. At just $1,299.99, it's a game changer. So head to Zwift.com to check it out now. And once you get this, join We Do on our group rides. We Do Wednesday. They call it a coffee ride. It's pretty fast. It's an hour. Good way to start the day if you're in the US. Good way to finish the day if you're in Europe. And our Suffer Sundays. That's more brutal. That's like a 2.5-hour ride in the trainer. But a lot of pros this time of year, especially the Scandinavians, Jonas Abrahamsson, I've seen his training files. He's doing 2.5, 3-hour rides on the trainer, pretty hard the whole time. That's what Suffer Sunday is. So Sunday mornings, if you're in the US, Sunday afternoons, if you're in Europe, check us out on Zwift. Remember, We Do Wednesday, Suffer Sunday. Get that Zwift ride now and join us out there on the virtual roads. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Maui Nui, the only source for Maui's exceptionally healthy, wild harvested axis deer meat. When you order from Maui Nui Venison, you're not only getting healthy, delicious, ethical meat, and tasty delivered directly to your front door, you're also playing a key role in their mission to reclaim abundant food systems and preserve the delicate native ecosystems on Maui. As a former resident of the island, this product means a lot to me personally, since I know firsthand, just how difficult it is to source food when you're on the Hawaiian Islands. It's very expensive. It's all shipped from the mainland. It doesn't seem like the most effective way to get it cheap in terms of finance or health. So it's great that they're providing this. And B, just how big of an issue the overpopulation of the axis deer have become. A little history lesson. They were a gift to the king of Hawaii. They have since gotten out, and they're breeding, and the overpopulation is an issue. So I think that Maui Nui is working to alleviate these issues while also providing sustainable food for both locals and people who want to buy it off the island, so you can have a little bit of Maui at your house. And they're working to preserve the beautiful Maui ecosystem that, if you've been there, you know and you love. Maui Nui offers only 100% wild harvested meat that's completely stress-free and responsibly sourced. It's perfect for anyone looking to elevate their meals with delicious, high-quality protein. And they're offering to the Move Plus listeners a limited collection of their favorite cuts and products. But supply is limited by the nature of their work. So don't wait. Check them out now at MauiNuiVenison.com/MovePlus. MauiNuiVenison.com/MovePlus, spelled out. So MovePlus. Check the show notes for the link and get that delicious, delicious meat delivered right to your door. All right, Johan, just to tick it off before you forget about it, I know the AlUla Tour is currently happening, but we have not gotten a chance to speak about the Tour Down Under, which finished what now feels like a year ago, but it was really just last weekend. Our prediction of Jhonatan Narváez winning from now he's on UAE played out, really just played it perfectly on Wollonga Hill, I thought. Javier Romo from Movistar, who was in the lead going into that stage, attacked at the bottom of the climb, got a little heat from our friend George Hincapie, who said, what the heck's he doing? Why is he doing this? But then you pointed out, Johan, he has to do that because even if he would have finished on Narváez's wheel and got second place on the stage, he still wouldn't have held the leader's jersey because he would have lost it on aggregate finishing position. So he had to gap Narváez. Probably the only way to do that was to just ride as hard as possible up the climb. So I guess in that respect, he did well, still held on for second place. But what were your takeaways about how that race played out, like in the final weekend?
Yeah, well, as expected, it always comes down to Wollonga Hill and the bonifications. And as we said, I think we did our last show the day before Wollonga Hill, right? So
yes,
Narváez was, in my opinion, the big favorite. I've been thinking already a few times, in the trades and transfer show, Lance asked me, what's the biggest transfer of the year? I said Simon Yates to Visma. Jhonatan Narváez to UAE is really one of the best transfers also. Let's not forget, he is probably, him and Jonas Vingegaard are the only two riders who beat Tadej Pogačar in a mano-a-mano, man-to-man. Last year, he did that in the first stage of the Giro. We all know that in the Giro, Pogačar was already on great form. He was really going for that first stage, and Narváez was able to hang on and beat him in the sprint. So he was the obvious favorite. He's the typical rider for that punchy terrain, and on top of that, he's incredibly fast. So it was going to be difficult to beat Narváez, and Narváez rode really the perfect race. Also knew how to wait. He was, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a split, and Narváez was not there just before Wollonga Hill. I think it was it Jaco who was pulling, or I don't remember who was pulling now, but no, it was not Jaco.
I think Ineos blew the race up
before
they went in.
It was Ineos, exactly, yes. But yeah, I mean, that was his terrain. Not a surprise that he won. Javier Romo, really, really good performance. And then third, I don't remember who was third. Was it Luke Plapp or was it Finn Fisher-Black?
Finn Fisher-Black, new to Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Red Bull putting together pretty strong team. They just picked that guy up off the bench from UAE, and he looked pretty good all week. Yeah,
and a really ambitious young rider. He was on UAE, he was doing well there, but said that he was afraid that he was going to get into that role of domestique all the time, has own ambitions, and move to Red Bull Bora. I think it's a good move from him. And then, of course, the three sprints. Was it three? He won 3 or 2. Welsford. Yeah, he won 3 stages, right? So Welsford, he won the last.
Yeah, he won 1, 2, and 6.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, no surprises. The typical favorites won all the stages, and the big favorite won the overall. It is a very difficult race to win, though. It comes down to you need to be good on the hills, you need to be fast, you need to pick up bonifications. Narváez had all that, so he's the logical winner of Tour Down Under.
I mean, some people complain about it. I like it. Javier Romo rode the course faster than Narváez. Mm-hmm. Narváez finished 9 seconds in front, but he had 11 more seconds of bonus seconds than Romo, so he won the GC. I think it's this fun race. It's all about racecraft and tactics and how patient you are. It's one of the more interesting races, I think, in terms of how you actually win races outside of just going nuclear 7 watts per kilo for 20 minutes on a climb at the Tour de France. It's a real racer's race, in my opinion. And if you want bigger time gaps, harder racing, that's coming later in the year. Yeah. So don't get your panties in a bunch about that. But Narváez big pickup. You're right. Like, and he looked sharp. He looked a little bit better, I thought, than last year. Is this funny thing you think, well, why would he go from Ineos, where would he be one? He might be the best rider on that team. If he was on that team right now, goes to UAE, you think, well, that's a terrible decision. How's he ever going to get a chance to win? But I've been working on this theory in my free time. I sit around and map it out, think about it. It's really like the best. If you want to win big races and you want to beat Pogacar, you want to beat Van der Poel, you should go to their team. Like, think of Jasper Philipsen. He's had more success in the classics than he would if he was leading a team. You want to get as close to this large celestial body as possible, and then you could actually win a really big race. So like Narváez could win a monument this year because he's on Pogacar's team. He probably wouldn't win one in Ineos. It's this odd counterintuitive trend that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really good and the races, like for example, if we take the case of Narváez, right? Narváez, he's a rider. Let's say he could be in the final of Milan-San Remo, can be in the final of Tour of Flanders, Amstel Gold Race probably. I don't know about Roubaix or Liège or Lombardy, but if you are on that team and all the attention is on that one big favorite, often a shadow leader can benefit from that and go away with the first place.
And you know who looked like they would have loved to have? Actually, my hot take for this race, Ineos Grenadiers was the best team at the Tour Down Under. Like, they did everything perfectly. Great lead outs, didn't have a sprinter, broke the race up going to Wollonga Hill. They had Magnus Sheffield for the GC, but he finished 7th overall, pretty good finish, but he was almost 30 seconds off Narvaez's time. Like, didn't really contend for the win. You know who would be great on Ineos? Jhonatan Narváez. Like, Ineos just looks like they're missing Narváez, but then they just lost him. It's this odd place they're stuck in. I know we talk about Ineos a lot, but it's a very interesting team because actually the blocking and tackling looked great. It's just like, wow, these guys are out there doing everything right.
They did a lot of really good moves in the Tour Down Under. They just don't have the leader to finish it off. Now, even if they would have a great, let's assume Caleb Ewan is on good form. They had the best team to do the lead out.
Yeah.
Anyway, the transfer of Caleb Ewan came during or after the Tour Down Under, right? So
I think it was maybe during it. I just still don't. Someone commented in one of my articles that they've wasted an opportunity, but I don't know if anyone was beating Welsford. Like, that guy was flying at the Tour Down Under.
Caleb Ewan was not going to be ready. From what I've heard in December, the guy was, in Monaco driving his Lamborghini and being on the yacht of his wife or something. So he didn't train that much. He was not going to be ready.
All noble pursuits, but maybe not the best preparation for the Tour Down Under, perhaps.
Yeah.
And I mean, what do you like, just, I guess, to play to our American audience a little bit, like Magnus Sheffield, 22 years old, finished 7th overall. You'd say, wow, what a great result. But if you go back to 2023 at this same race, finished 4th.
Yeah, but I mean, there's almost no difference, Spencer. There's almost no difference. I mean, between you win first and second, but between 3rd and 8th or 9th, there's hardly. I mean, it's a question of details. To be 7th now in the Tour Down Under, you have to be on top form. Now, if there's 2 or 3 guys who are just a tiny bit better, bad luck, But Magnus Sheffield must be on amazing shape.
That is true. I mean, I went back last year. The top 5 overall finishers they all had their best season after that finish. So they're clearly flying. I mean, Red Bull was the one I was quite intrigued by. Like 3 stage wins, 3rd on GC. You know which team did not win a stage, did not finish on the podium, and it's the second year that it's happened?
Jayco
AlUla. That they must be. I'm sure that's been mentioned inside the team.
I mean, it's their home race, but then also, Luc Plap, it was their leader, super strong, but just not that extra gear. He needs to finish alone, right?
Well, did you see where he was? And then 10K.
And then also, the way he races. I mean, strong rider, but man, I don't know how that guy's going to win a bike race if he races like this. he's either all the way in the back, gets caught up in the crosswinds, and then I saw a few of his, attacks. It was not really attacks. He was trying to ride everybody off the wheel. Narváez was super, super smart. He knew that Luke Plapp was going to set the tempo when Javi Romo was gone, right?
Yeah.
On Willunga Hill, and Narváez just bought his time, and just waited until the last moment, and just finished it off.
I mean, if you made everyone publish their power files from the last 10K, I bet Luke Plapp had the highest average power because he was last wheel with 10K to go, which I don't fully understand because they know that crosswinds are coming up. They know they're turning. Every year it's a fight for position going into Willunga Hill. I don't fully understand why Jayco sent 2 riders off the front like 10K before that so they've Mauro Schmid and Chris Harper off the front. Luke Plapp's at the back of the peloton. I maybe would have had because we know this is like what Luke Plapp does. He just rides that way. Like maybe have Harper and Schmid stay with him and try to get him to the front.
I think he's really unpredictable. It's not the first time we see this, however. I remember, I think it was last year in Paris-Nice, he was in the leader's jersey actually. And he was off the back or, last position. I've heard that he has very little experience in road races. He was mainly a track rider. And, he's gotten basically all his performances with his strength and riding solo off the front. So, he seems to have a problem in the bunch, but still, it's not his first year professional. And he's been on good teams already. He should be a bit better in positioning. So I don't know really what's the problem there, but it's, if he keeps riding tactically that way, it's not easy to win bike races, except if it's the Australian Championships, which he gave away, by the way, this year to his teammate, Luke Durbridge.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that decision. I mean, he's never won a race outside of Australia, and the positioning is why I think he was last wheel. I just watched Milan-San Remo 2024. He was last wheel going in the Cipressa, and then he's in the group last wheel again going into the Poggio. Do you know how hard it would be to be last, to be that far back, get dropped, and then to catch back on?
Any normal rider, he must be incredibly strong, this guy, because any normal rider, if you're last wheel on the Cipressa, you're done. You're not there at the Poggio.
No, I mean, did he put out more power than Pogacar's teammates? Probably, at the front.
Sure,
it's
sure.
The power's unbelievable. They got to do something about the positioning. I don't know if we need to get Johan in there as a special advisor or something, but
my time has passed, Spencer. It's all different now. So there's plenty of other people who can give him advice.
I don't know if get to the front ever. I don't know if that ages out. People still need to hear it.
Well, it is. I'm pretty sure it's the most said sentence on the race radio in all different teams. Okay, guys, we get to this tactical place here. It gets narrow. Everybody to the front. Everybody needs to be in the front. Go to the front, guys. It's nothing else than that.
And I guess, of course, not everyone can be on the front. Someone has to be in the back. That's the only way it works. So the ongoing Tour of AlUla, there's one more stage. It's kind of a funny race because it's in Saudi Arabia. So it's different time than you're used to watching it. So it's the one I tend to miss the most. We've done 4 stages. Stage winners so far, Tim Merlier and Tom Pidcock. They've won the first 4 stages. I would guess Tim Merlier wins stage 5. Merlier looks incredible. I think we were talking about him. He's on Soudal Quickstep, but we were talking about him a few weeks ago. You said he's maybe the most underrated sprinter in the sport. I'd kind of forgot how this guy's got a lot of raw power, especially these sprints in the desert where it's pretty open. He was on stage 3 when he opened up his sprint. He dropped the whole field. It was crazy. Yeah.
No, he's fast. He's very fast. Has a good team around him there also. I don't think they have anybody for GC there. Has his loyal teammate and friend and lead out Bert van Lerberge there. Let's not forget Tim Merlier is already in pretty good shape, although he says he is far from his top shape, but he's been doing some cyclocross races and not bad at all, actually. He's been in top 10 in some really good races. He's done some beach races also in Belgium and the Netherlands. Beach racing is extremely popular in the off season, and they're hard. So he comes in already with really good form, and with that top speed, it's difficult to beat him if nothing goes wrong in the sprint. And he has a free road. It's going to be difficult to beat him also tomorrow. So I'm expecting him to have 3 stage wins, of course, the points jersey, and a great start of the season again for him. The guy wins a lot of races. I don't remember how many, but I think it's more than 15 races he won last year.
He oddly doesn't go to a lot of Grand Tours. Like
that's the new thing. Also, this year he goes to the Tour.
Yes, he could be the yellow jersey wearer after stage 1. It's a sprint.
It's possible.
I assume that's part of the reason why they're taking him. But he was on Alpecin. Now I'm just going back through the Merlier history in my mind. He was on Alpecin in 2021 at the Tour, wins stage 3. And you know who his lead-out man was?
Was Philipsen.
Jasper Philipsen. It's crazy. Like, what a stacked team that was.
I remember the interview of Philipsen after the stage. He was happy, of course, but he says, "Yeah, well, I'm also going to have my chance because I'm not a lead-out man." And I think after that he left, right? Did he leave the year after or 2 years later?
I think he left at the end of 23.
No.
You don't think so? Hold on a second.
Yeah, he left at the end of 22.
Oh, you're right. 23 was his first year. Wow. We've been doing this show a long time. Holy smokes. Wow. That time flies. Nice. Well, the other rider that is winning stages, Tom Pidcock, looks really good. Let's just get the positives out of the way. Looks really good, dominating. The first stage he won was an uphill finish. Today's stage 4, it's a really hard, summit. It's like a summit finish, but then it go into a almost pancake flat plateau without any descent. It was him off the front, by 28, 27 seconds, 4 strong riders rotating behind him. They finish, I want to say 12 seconds behind him. So they didn't, and he had to ride alone for 6-7K on this plateau.
Okay, yeah.
Not easy at all. 2 wins. I believe it's the 2 biggest wins in Q36.5 history. These 2 AlUla Tour stage wins. And they're
going to win the overall also. So
yeah. Having said that,
I think great start for Pidcock with this new team. Obviously everybody's happy there. I think immediately he shows his role as the leader of the team. You can see actually the team growing. Defending the jersey, riding around the leader. I think they've never done this, at least not at this level. The first stage he won was really, really strong. But let's not forget, it was a strange stage because during the stage or at the end of the stage, all of a sudden there was a decision made that they were going to shorten the stage and take out one of the downhills, I guess, which they already had done before. So the race was actually decided in 5K. They neutralized the stage, and then with 5K to go, they said, okay, go. He won that fair and square, no discussion. Today's stage also, I think, when he was attacking, I said, wow, that's early. He went to the front when all his teammates were done, went to the front and basically started riding his own tempo. And there was only 2 riders who could follow him. And then he went away. But he kept it, he kept it. Having said that, we also need to look at the other side. It's always difficult to win everywhere, right? At the professional level. But this is not a very strong field. If you look at the top 10, with all the respect for all the other contenders, but in the top 10, there's nobody in there who will be in the top 5 of any other World Tour races if the big guns are there, right?
Everybody, let's be honest. At this time of year, you've probably got a garage full of unused bikes. Well, you're in luck because today's partner is Bicycle, the world's largest global marketplace for pre-owned bikes. That's BUYCYCLE.com. With over 20,000 pre-owned road, gravel, mountain, and triathlon bikes available on the platform, Bicycle connects buyers and sellers on a global scale, making the process of buying and selling, and let's be honest, getting stuff out of your garage safe and convenient for everyone. Prepare for the season ahead by selling your old components and bike that you've been meaning to get rid of on Bicycle. You're probably saying, okay, all right, this sounds great, but it's got to be a pain in the butt, right? What am I going to do? Sell my bike? No way. I got to hassle. Someone's got to come pick it up. No, Bicycle makes it easy. All you have to do is upload your bike, takes 5 minutes or less on the Bicycle platform, and they will send you a box with the packaging and materials for a small fee, but then they also coordinate the pickup. So all you got to do is go on, upload your bike. They take care of the rest. They'll send you the box. They'll send you the packaging. You just shove it in there. They come and pick it up. Could not be easier. Also very easy to buy a bike on there if you're in the market for that. So if this sounds interesting to you, use code WEDO30 to unlock 30% off the seller protection fee when you sell your bike on Bicycle. As I said, this is the time. This is the time to strike. Get that garage cleared out, ready for spring. We're Marie Kondo here. We're just getting rid of things that do not bring us joy. Get those old bikes out of there. WEDO30 to get 30% off seller protection, your seller protection fee when you sell a bike on Bicycle. Check out the show notes for the link and more details if you're interested. All right, back to the show. I'm shocked at how weak of a GC field it is, especially since what we've seen in years past. You would say a name that sticks out to me, Frank Vandenbroek. I believe he did get second at a Tour de France stage, stage one of the Tour last year.
Very strong rider, very strong rider.
And someone I've been intrigued by, Jayco AlUla's Alan Hatherley. Just came over from, he's World Championship cross-country mountain bike, reigning world champion. Came over, he kind of surprised us. You said you had no idea he wanted to be a road cyclist. I had no idea. Great pickup for Jayco. I mean, the guy just comes into the sport. He is a little older. He's 28 years old, but he's getting results for them that, they don't have many people on their roster that could get those results. So shows kind of, I don't know how they had the inside line on him, if maybe it was his bike sponsor Giant, and that's how he ended up there.
No, he was on Cannondale.
But yeah, good for them. Like that, those are good results.
Listen, if you're top of the world in mountain bike, you obviously have the power and the numbers, that's for sure. And these are two efforts that, it was two short efforts. Let's say it's a 2.5 kilometer uphill violent effort 2 times. These are efforts that these guys can do, of course, but still, it is professional cycling, and there's he's on a professional cycling team now, World Tour team. He must have some depth, this guy. There's other riders that are mountain bikers that would never be able to do this. It's kind of funny to see that in the top 3, there's 2 of the 3 best mountain bike riders in the world, because let's not forget Pidcock was world champion and is double Olympic champion mountain biking.
Well, maybe part of the reason for that is the roads are terrible. I've been shocked by this. It kind of looks like the United States, where it looked like on the stage that was neutralized, stage 2, the climb, it looked like they ripped the road up and then just didn't repave it. Like it was that bad. Like when they stripped the surface off the road. And the riders basically said, we're not going to do this. I think your theory was this kind of exposes ASO, who's the organizer of the race. Like clearly they had not looked at this road.
Well, I mean, if you look at the stage and you look the way it happens, Spencer, and ASO is I guess they're the logistical partner of AlUla in the organization of this race. So they put up all the infrastructure. They take care of all the logistics and the organization of the race, the commissaires and the race directors and stuff. If you see what happens, this was so unprofessional because they all knew this road was there, or at least they should have known if they would have done the recon. That brings me to the point that they didn't do the recon. They just had somebody local map out the course. And or even if it's the same course as last year, I mean, the roads may have changed. The state of the road may have changed. So they didn't do the recon. they're obviously, ASO, they're smart, and as a business, they're in it for the money, right? They know who to associate themselves with. It was a big circus, having to neutralize a stage because they're going on a road which they should have known was in that state. And then, they neutralized the stage during 15 or 20 kilometers. And finally with 5K to go, they say, okay, go now. That's not really, that's not nice. Would have been the same result more or less, but still, it didn't look good. No, green, yellow. I mean, yellow tending to red card for ASO.
I mean, and then the stage finish on stage 3, it was really surreal to watch because, I mean, there was no spectators, so no one was going to run on the road. But inside the last K, there was sections with no barriers. And you'd say, well, why is that important? Well, because there was a crash. Niels Eckhoff flies off the road and there just runs into a lamp post, because you either need to put pads on those, or the reason you don't see that happen very often is because normally there would be barriers inside the last K and you would hit the barriers as opposed to hitting a lamppost. He did have a broken jaw, lost some teeth, which sounds bad, but you think of the alternatives, like that's how you get really hurt.
Oh, it could have been so much worse. I mean, it looked really bad. If you look at the crash in repetition, after the race, and you see how he hits I think he hits two posts, I think. It could have been really bad. So obviously, broken bones is never good, but I think he may praise himself lucky that this is the only damage he has.
I'm curious what would happen. Like if you see like Nicholas Roach, I believe is an ASO. He works for ASO, probably in a contractor role. He does the world feed. But when you see him like at the tour, he rides the last, 50K of every stage. The guy looks like he's in incredible shape. Mm-hmm. Like I wonder if he was at this race, would he go to ASO and say, hey, I don't know if we could do this. Like this isn't safe. Or if they're like, yeah, sorry, we're going to like it doesn't.
Also, in ASO, it's what really surprises me. It's that there's a lot of ex-professionals there in the technical team, whether it's for the course or for the monitoring the cars or the motorbikes. They didn't go and check out the course. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, this stretch would not have been in the course. It's impossible that you have to make that decision during the race just before you get there.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they said, this isn't that good. They said, sorry, we can't root around it. And they're like, maybe the riders won't protest.
That's the other thing, right, Spencer? What are the alternatives, right? That's the other thing. And it's kind of shocking to see that, a country which is supposed to be one of the richest countries in the world has that kind of road surfaces. There's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of cars, or at least not a lot of bikes passing there. That's for sure.
Oh, I can't. Being from the United States, I cannot throw any stones from my glass house. We've got some pretty bad road surfaces, and we allegedly have money. Moving on, I said about Q36.5. Another team, another race that's happening. Challenge Mallorca. Not really. It's like a bunch of different races that it's like a stage race kind of, but you don't have to race every race. You can pop in and out. It's almost like a training exhibition, but these races are really hard if you watch them. The first one in the series, won by Jan Christen from UAE. Second one, won by Maren Vandenberg from EF Education, Easy Post. If you watch that race, they went for that. Like they knew that he really marked that race as one he wanted to win. I was impressed at how far out they telegraphed what they were going to do and did it. Florian Stork from Tudor Pro Cycling won today's edition of the race. But Tudor, like if Q36.5 is doing well, Tudor, another second division team, also doing really well. Their second win of the year after Mark Hershey won in, was it the Valenciana? Is that the race last weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been impressed with, if you look at all the, let's just say, Pro Cycling stats points they had last year on the team, plus what they brought in this year, the two of the best performing teams in that metric are Q36.5 and Tudor. And it's interesting that it's already playing out on the road. Like you see these teams are like automatically performing better than they did last year based on the riders are getting.
I think Tudor is going to be a completely transformed team, with Hirschi and Philippe, two Alaphilippe being the figure he is, I mean, he's kind of also as a personality, he's a leader of the team. We don't know how good he's going to be. I think he's going to perform still, although I think that the best Alaphilippe is in the past. But still, he's still going to be up there and have some results. And then, of course, Hirschi was one of the best riders of the season last season. So, I haven't seen him from close up, but I'm shocked about how tiny he is. He's so skinny. He's so little compared to if you see him in a group of 3 or 4 riders. He is. I mean, if you compare his size to the other guys, for example, if you see him next to Morgado, it's crazy. I mean, he's like half the size. But yeah, I mean, he had a really good win there in Valenciana, a really hard race at the end. Again, it's not with the biggest teams and the biggest rivals, but still, to win those races at the beginning is very hard. I mean, another thing I would like to point out, Spencer, I don't know, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have remarked it, is in every single race I've seen, whether it's in Down Under or in Valenciana or Mallorca, I think they're in AlUla too. They are in AlUla. Is the behavior in the race of Astana, XDS Astana. They go full gas every single stage with 3-4 guys. It's like the panic mode of scoring points. Like I saw one race on Saturday in Valencia where Morgado won. I think they had 3rd, 5th, and 7th or something. Like, that's their strategy. They don't necessarily go for the win, but they want always to have 3-4 guys up there and score the maximum points. I don't know. I still think it's not going to be enough to save their spot. But at least racing that way, I think they're going to guarantee their position as number 1 or 2 in the Pro Conti or whatever. It's the Pro Team category, which will give them an automatic entrance in all of the World Tour races in 2026, because they're not going to be World Tour anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of a lame way to race. Yeah, you're right. So they got 3 riders in the top 10 at that race, 4 in the top 15. Like, if you're just looking at this, you look at the results, you say you had a rider in 2nd, you had a rider in 6th and 7th. Maybe you should have done something differently. But they're just going for points. Obviously, it's not a bad idea, because I think, as you say, there's this narrative. It's like, oh, they're fighting for the World Tour spot. It's not going to happen. They would need to be like the 3rd or 4th best team in the world.
It's
Cofidis would have to be
5,000 points, Spencer. It's 5,000 points. And the other teams are also, I mean, they're not going to score no points, the other teams.
Yeah, if they scored 5,000 and the other team scored 0, they would be promoted. But they would need to score like 15 to score 5,000 more than them. But as you say, they got to go for these top 2 spots. But with Lotto and Israel out, they have a good chance to do it.
Well, I mean, it's Tudor and Q36.5 and UNO-X. There's competition, There's competition to be top 2.
The edge they have, I mean, it is good competition. It's actually going to be something really interesting to watch this year. The edge Astana has is their World Tour now, so they get invited to every race.
Yeah.
Whereas it's harder for UNO-X and Q36.5 and Tudor to score points. Like, think how many points they're going to score at the Tour, and Q36.5 isn't even in there to contest it.
I don't necessarily agree with that, Spencer. I mean, I don't think Astana, XDS, they're not going to score many points at the Tour.
Hold on 1 second.
They're not going to score many points at the Tour.
Hold on. Let's just see, like, stage 1. So if you finished 10th, you get more points than if it might be like winning a stage of, hold on a second, the AlUla Tour. I closed my AlUla Tour. It's a lot. Like, they do weight the Tour a lot. Yeah, maybe they don't even have the talent to do that. But if you went in just trying to finish like in the top 15 of stages, I wonder if you could get 2 guys in the top 15 of a lot of stages.
Yeah. Well,
especially in those sprints where people are sitting up.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I would try to do. Like, we're going to get 9th and 11th.
Man, let me tell you, that's also changing completely. Yeah, when I watch these races, every single little group is sprinting. Like the first group, the second group, the third group, like even for 20th place, they're sprinting. Everybody's sprinting for their little points.
Yeah, there is a new trend too. Like instead of, you know, how lead out riders used to peel off and just sit up, they kind of keep sprinting now. I wonder if part of that is points, and then part of that is you're just trying to be in the way as much as possible, because why would you sit up? So Tom Pidcock he got 14 points for today's win at AlUla Tour, and then that would be like equivalent to like 15th at a Tour de France stage. Okay. So it is quite advantageous to go to those Grand Tours. On Tom Pidcock, our next topic, Cyclocross World Championships. It was supposed to just be Mathieu van der Poel. It's this Sunday, February 2nd, in Belgium. Is that right? France. Same thing. Same country.
No, not same thing.
I'm kidding. I'm not going to be safe to go outside now. But it was supposed to just be Van der Poel. Wout van Aert called the audible. He's coming. Before we talk about that, why is Tom Pidcock not going? And why is he? You mentioned this was in the pre-show that he said he was putting out his best 5 and 10 minute power ever. This like right now, clearly going for the classics. What calculation has he made that these other two haven't? Like, does he just want to start off on a good foot at Q36.5, or what's going on there? Dial in the road bike?
First of all, he decided not to do cyclocross because he wants to focus on the spring campaign. Also, I mean, he knows that if Van der Poel is and he can't be world champion. You know, I don't think he can beat Van Aert either if it's like on a hard course with a lot of running and mud. So, you know, I think that's a smart decision from him. I mean, he's been already world champion. And I think that his preference is probably more towards mountain bike than cyclocross. You know, I think it's just a coming together of circumstances, you know, like frustrated, finished the season frustrated, was left out of Lombardy, was in great shape. So he probably started to train very early. You know, the way this happened, because, you know, the transfer of Pidcock came relatively late, but late for the public, right? I mean, I think he knew already very, very long time that he was not going to be on Ineos and that he was going to be most likely on Q36.5. And then, you know, it took the negotiations probably took a little longer, but he knew that he was leaving and that he was going to be the leader of another team. You know, being motivated, new environment, you know, straight away getting to the training camp, showing that you're the leader, seeing that you're accepted as the leader, seeing that people believe in you, that they count on you. I mean, it all brings this vibe, and I think this is definitely not the best Pidcock yet. But man, I mean, if he can stay healthy and not get any crashes or bad luck. I think we're going to see a great Pidcock in the classics. You know, when he starts off really good. Again, we've said it. You know, not the biggest field, so it's not really he can't really compare. But the fact that he said in the interview that he did already do his best 5 and 10 minute values on training rides says that he's thinking very seriously about certain spring classics.
I mean, he came into this week with 5 pro wins. And he currently has 7 going on 8. That's like almost a 50% increase in his number of pro wins. So clearly off to a good start. Like, I just can't totally. Do you think Ineos is annoyed? Like, dude, we tried to get you to focus on the road for years. You wanted to race cross and then you leave and you're not doing cross.
It's often like that, Spencer. You know, when a guy leaves a team and there's been problems and there's been frictions, and then all of a sudden you see I've seen that in my teams in the past. You know, a guy like say, "Well, I mean, why we're not keeping this guy? You know, it's enough. He had enough chances. You know." And then the year after, he shows up at the first races fit like crazy. You know,
I can think of one person that you had that experience with.
What the hell?
We shouldn't say their name.
You can say it.
Daryl Impey. Didn't he like leave your team and then he's wearing the yellow jersey at the tour?
I mean, Daryl Impey was, when he was on Radio Shack, he was still more or less at the beginning of his career, you know. But yeah, I mean, he obviously got a lot better when he left. Yeah, he got a lot better when he left Radio Shack.
Are Wout and Van der Poel, are they hurt? Does this foray into the cyclocross like hurt their preparation for the spring?
No.
Or is like, no,
they know what they're doing. They really know what they're doing. And they both had a very reduced program. Basically these races, their intensity, like interval trainings for the road season. I mean, it's sad to say for the other cyclocross specialists, but they're so much better than, they have a huge engine compared to the other guys. The other cyclists like Van Toornout and Iserbyt and Ronhaar and Swick, and I don't know who else. Thibaut Nys is obviously a big engine too. But they're so much better. They're so much, it's so no, it doesn't hurt them at all. Wout van Aert decided last minute that finally he does go to the World Championships. And I've been told that it's really after the race where, he finished second to Mathieu van der Poel. But he had a really good feeling. I think he had 2 crashes. And then he came back and so, the fact that he felt the power, on the way back from the race to his home, he has decided that he wanted to give it a go at the World Championship. So it's basically a decision of the moment based on feeling. Obviously great for the race. I still think that it's very hard that Van der Poel doesn't win. He was so much better than everybody else. But Van Aert, if he decided to do it, I think he thinks he might have a chance. So that I think it means that he feels strong and that he feels that his form is increasing. And you know what? It's the championships. Anything can happen, So apparently it's a hard circuit. It's muddy. Not that it's gonna bother Van der Poel, but if it's muddy, it's really good for Wout if it's physical, as long as he doesn't make any technical mistakes, which has been the case in some of the cyclocross races until now.
Why is that better for Wout? Is he just better riding in the mud, running in the mud?
He's strong. He's super strong. The guy's strong as an ox. He's a really good runner, and then also when it's really muddy and it's with power, he's it's sitting down in the saddle and just getting the power out. He's really good, but again, he's up against Mathieu van der Poel, who's basically good, if not the best at anything. I think probably Wout is probably a better runner than Mathieu in the mud, but nowadays cyclocross there is running in the mud, but not that much.
Every night when I put my 4-year-old to bed, he just keeps asking me, "Is Wout going to win on Sunday?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we feel about that."
Just tell him he has a chance. You never know. I know he's a big Wout fan, so yeah, just tell him he has a chance.
He must think he has a chance internally, or else he wouldn't be here. Because what's their travel like? What does this look like logistically for these guys?
It's close. They're there already. They I think they arrived yesterday. I actually saw Wout and Mathieu recon the course together today. Yeah, we're having a chat on the bike. So I think they arrived yesterday. Did some recon today. But it's close. It's not far. It's in the north of France. So,
and do you think they're both based in Belgium at the moment, or are they coming from Spain? Like this time of year?
Wout came from Belgium. Mathieu, I don't know if Van der Poel went back to Spain between the last World Cup race and. Logically, I think he would have stayed in Belgium. It's just too much traveling.
Yeah.
If you race on Sunday. And you try, it would only be 3 days in Spain, so it makes no sense.
Wasn't Van der Poel flying back? I can't get over this. I heard he was flying back and forth from Spain for every classic last year. Which
that's a possibility.
I'm exhausted thinking about that.
It also depends how you fly. If he has if he charters a little private jet,
he must have been doing that.
Makes things a little easier,
Yeah, and I guess if you can get that down to like 7,000 an hour, you could maybe do that flight in about an hour.
No.
Make that somewhat cost effective. No, you can't. Like 90 minutes, 2 hours?
2 hours for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope he keeps racing so he can stay in those private jets.
The guy just keeps getting new contracts. He just did a contract with Richard Mille, the watch brand.
He's also riding the driving Lamborghinis, but he's just driving them to the race as opposed to around Monaco.
Well, he drives a Lamborghini on a daily basis, but that's one of those SUV Lamborghinis.
I mean, it's clearly good. It's a pretty good partnership for them, because I had no idea that Lamborghini had an SUV until he was driving it. 2 questions this week, both from me. What's the podium going to be at World Championships?
Okay, I'm going to say Van der Poel, Van Aert, and Nieuwenhuis.
Whoa, no Thibaut.
I think Nieuwenhuis.
All right, and then I was talking to Dave Bolsch about this recently, but I'd love for you to expand on it. Like, if I'm a pro rider right now, I race for UAE. Also, UAE, I was going to mention this earlier. You know what team has the most wins right now?
UAE.
In the sport? UAE.
Four races, four wins already.
4 wins. Yeah. And it's like they've kind of picked up right where they've left off. Anyone that was hoping for a weak season for them is not going to get it. But let's say I ride for UAE right now. I'm Jan Christian. Like, what's my training look like this time of year compared to when you, like, let's say mid 2000s? Like, how much has that changed, and how has it changed?
Oof, everything has changed. You know, I think mid 2000s was still, I mean, it obviously had changed compared to the 80s, but it was still, you know, like based on late 80s, mid 90s.
Yeah.
You know, like lots of miles. Don't start your intensity before you have a certain number of foundation miles in the legs. This has changed. Everything has changed. You know, I mean, you can't even show up at a training camp nowadays when you're undertrained. It's better you stay home and train by yourself. So, I mean, obviously, like guys like Jan Christian, for example, it's clear that he has peaked towards the beginning of the season. I mean, he's already in great shape. He's done, you know, he won a stage in Mallorca. He's been on the attack in some other races already. So, I mean, listen, at UAE, it looks like everybody's in good shape. Morgado's flying. I mean, the tour team probably is a little. I mean, I haven't seen anybody from the tour team yet who's in competition. No, I mean, I don't know if they're probably not gonna take Narváez.
Yeah, like Pavel Sivakov would be a good example of someone that's not raced yet, probably on the tour team.
But I mean, listen, Sivakov is training really, really hard. I mean, I follow him on Strava. That guy's an animal when he trains, and he rides fast. He has a lot of really top performances. These guys train a lot, man, a lot, even if their goals are later down the season.
I mean, he said his like off-season training now is basically he just goes out and rides 300 watts for like 6 to 9 hours. Like for him, that's zone 2, but that's not easy. You know, that's not easy even for him. That's probably harder than he would have done 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. No, it's changed. I mean, and you know, and reportedly the training regime, we've talked about it last week. You know, the training regime at UAE is of another level. It's just super hard, and that's why, you know, when you have to be a really big engine to be able to sign for that team and then do the training. You know, you have to have the engine. Some people are just not able to do it, or they can do it 2-3 days and then they need a day off or 2 days off. So, you know, I don't think. Listen, they have the biggest budget, or one of the biggest budgets. They sign great riders and they train the hardest. It's not that difficult.
I mean, I do tend to think that that's the case, but maybe a stupid question. I often wondered this when Lance was winning a bunch of tours. Why doesn't everyone just train harder?
Because you can't. Because, you know, it takes a champion with a huge engine, a strong head. You know, I've had, there were years where we did training camps in preparation for the tour. I remember one specific year. I don't remember which year it was, but we, you know, everybody who did the tour, or the 12 guys, because back in the days we had 12 guys for 9 places. We went, you know, in May and June, we went on training camps. And I think there was 2 or 3 riders that almost didn't make it to the tour because they trained too much, because they couldn't train with Lance. So then afterwards we started to split, like the one training camp for the guys that had to support him, but we had to be careful, like put them in cotton and, make sure that they didn't get injured. And then there was basically, listen, over all the years, I've known one guy who was able to train with Lance. There was only one rider who was able to do the training regime and come out better. It was Vyacheslav Ekimov. Was the only guy.
Interesting.
Yeah, because that guy has a huge engine.
Did he do every tour with him?
Well, no, not every tour, because he retired and then he came back.
Yeah, because I remember him. I remember. Okay, yeah, I kind of vaguely remember.
He retired this. and then he. I actually. So 99, he was not on the team, because when I came on the team, Ekimov had a disagreement with the manager who was there then, and he had left the team, and he went 1 year to a small Italian team called Amica Chips, and then in 2000 I hired him back. He became Olympic champion.
That is crazy. He was racing for Amica Chips the year before he won the World Championships.
Yeah, and then I don't remember when he retired, and then he came back after a few months. He said, I remember he called me, because he retired and he was going to be the director of a Russian team. He did some races as a director in the spring. And I think somewhere March or he said, yeah, Johan, I think I made a mistake. I shouldn't have retired. I want to race again. And I said, listen, I don't remember how did we make it work, but I said, you know what? Listen, come to the training camp for the tour. Prepare yourself for that. And he came. I remember Ekimov showed up at the training camp. He hadn't done one single race. He came to the training camp for the tour, which was end of May, beginning of June. He showed up there fit like crazy. And there I just, okay, so I said, okay, you're hired. And he did the Dauphiné. Almost won the stage on the Mont Ventoux. Got caught like in the final of the stage. And did the tour. And was amazingly strong.
Was this 2002?
2002. I guess it was 2002, yeah.
Yeah, because 2002, his first race is the Dauphiné, which is insane.
2002, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So that's the only rider that could train with Lance. I mean, now that you mention it, does kind of feel like UAE has the money to do this, so it might not be replicable, but they've just built a team out of Terminators almost. It's just these guys, it's the biggest engines in pro cycling, and then they train them so hard, but they're the only riders that could absorb that and then get better. One guy will also, if he has no bad luck, Spencer, a guy who has a huge engine and who will benefit tremendously of the training of UAE is Florian Vermeersch. That guy is strong, very strong. You'll see in the classics, that guy's going to be super strong. Did he get second or third at Roubaix?
Yeah, second.
Yeah. Interesting. I had forgotten about that transfer. Big guy too. Yeah. Almost 2 meters tall, 85 kilos. Whoa. Well, wow. Yeah, that's actually kind of an under the radar pickup in the off season.
Huge contract.
What's he making, you think?
1 million.
1 million. Holy smokes.
Yeah, there's no way for Lotto to keep him.
No. What was he making at Lotto?
250, 300, I think, max.
Yeah, so good time to be Florian Vermeersch. But that speaks to, it's like Niels Pollitt fits this profile that they've identified as a really useful rider to have on your team.
Yeah.
Well, Johan, do you have anything else to add before you head off to go to bed? What was that?
I think we've covered mostly everything.
Yes, and we will be back next week. I'm quite curious to see how the Cyclocross World Championship plays out. on February 2nd. I will be rooting for Wout in my household, even if I find it hard to believe that he could actually win.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, thanks, Johan, and we will talk again soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.